Alright, sorry it took so long, but here we go. Tamara and her morbidly loving family. Tamara Ivanyutina was the last woman executed in the Soviet Union, or more specifically, the Ukraine. In 1988, she was a pig farmer and a school dishwasher. She also has the distinct honor of being only one of 3 women in the history of the Soviet Union to be executed. The story of Tamara and her family was the USSR's 1980s version of the crime of the century. But the crime and the killers were quickly overshadowed by the events of the 80s and early 90s. Officially, Tamara was responsible for 9 fatal poisonings total. 2 of the victims were her husbands. She also admitted to 20 other attempts of poisoning. Her downfall came in Kiev, September 1986. After poisoning a pot of buckwheat soup at the school she worked at. Her first husband was her first victim. Twice she poisoned him. The first time he got very sick and recovered, but shortly thereafter he went back to work as a long-haul trucker. She made him 2 sandwiches for the road and he was never seen again. Her second husband, Oleg Ivanyutina, was 7 years younger than her. Oleg's parents hated her. They felt she was way too old for him, and she could never produce any children for him. Described by most as obnoxious, rude, combative, and egotistical, Tamara and Oleg were given an ultimatum. Oleg's parents said, "Give us a grandchild or we'll write you out of the will." Oleg's father was the first to die. Then at his funeral, she gave Oleg's mother a glass tainted with Korvoval, sorry if I got that wrong, which is for nerves. But after tasting it, she screamed, "Tamara is trying to kill me." Only a few weeks later, she would die of the same symptoms as her husband. Tamara's ruin was that pot of buckwheat soup. She managed to poison 9 children total from the school, all of whom presented the same pain in the lower body and were brought to the hospital. Later that same evening, 2 adults would also present with the same symptoms. One was a shop teacher in the same school, and the other was a refrigerator repairman who had actually worked in the same kitchen as Tamara that same day. Later on that day, 2 more children were also dead. All of the victims complained of severe abdominal and joint pain, burning feet, and hair loss. All the symptoms pointed to a public health emergency. Infectious disease was ruled out quickly and poisoning was suspected. Although heavy metal exposure was suspected, after testing the deceased, high levels of thallium were present. After investigating the entire kitchen staff, a suspiciously similar incident was uncovered. Months earlier, 2 employees from the same Kiev school Tamara worked at both fell ill. One was a seemingly healthy woman who presented with an atypical heart attack. She happened to be the school nurse. The woman died disputing the hospital's diagnosis. Her symptoms included abdominal pain, joint pain, and hair loss. She was reported before death muttering something about black eggs. By the way, thallium turns eggs black. It wasn't long before these 2 victims were exhumed, and thallium levels were extremely high. After that, the entire school was tested. It all came back normal. By this time, it had been discovered that all of the victims involved had come in contact with Tamara in some way, shape, or form. And by then, she was also acting very suspicious. Also, by this time, a co-worker of Tamara's had admitted to giving 50 milligrams of Clarice solution to Tamara and her family. This solution is thallium salt. She had given the family the solution 9 times total. And of course, by this time, the police were hot on the trail of the family. Because of the Clarice solution, the police decided to investigate their family. It had been discovered that Nina had poisoned her first husband only days after their wedding, and he died soon thereafter. Nina had also poisoned a previous lover, which only got him very sick, but ended up making him impotent. Another fatal encounter with the family involved her parents. The story goes that after having a continuous conflict with a neighbor for playing their TV too loud, Maria, Tamara and Nina's mother, had poisoned the woman. She had given them something to eat, and it was laced with Clarice. Another incident was in the late 70s, while Maria was in the hospital. Anton, her husband, Tamara's father, poisoned a family relative for only commenting that she dared to imagine the death of his beloved wife. The police decided to exhume Oleg's parents, and the toxicology report showed that they had been poisoned. Only then did he finally admit to her guilt. He recalled her saying once, "It's not the dead you should fear, but the living." With this evidence, she was arrested. While Tamara was in jail and before the arrest of her mother, father, and sister, Maria had taken issue with a neighbor who happened to be a World War II veteran. Maria had a problem with the vet receiving benefits. She didn't think that was right, so she decided to take care of the problem by making a special batch of pancakes. But the vet was very suspicious, so she gave the pancakes to her cat. Having seizures, the cat died soon thereafter. The remaining pancakes were given to the police. Followed soon thereafter were the arrest of the 3 remaining family members. It's unknown how many people died as a result of this family, but Nina received 16 years in prison, Anton received 10, Maria received 13, and of course Tamara was executed. So this poses a very interesting question. Is murder inherent or not? You tell me. Give me a comment below. Tell me what you think. Thanks for watching. Click like and subscribe as well.